Like you. Like you. Hi, if you're new here, welcome. Thank you for joining. The growth has been exponential. Thank you for clicking on my channel and watching my videos and commenting. I love reading your guys' comments. You guys are so funny and very insightful. Y'all are so smart. Like, how have I gotten so lucky to have such a great audience? We're gonna take over the internet, guys. Just you wait. Like, the algorithm has been blessing me, guys. The algorithm is low-key my best friend.
And my best friend.
I am very excited to see the future of this channel, but I also love being a small YouTuber. Like, I feel like we have this secret little corner of the internet that's really fun and cool, and we're just having a good time. There's no bull, no drama. As much as I would love to blow up, I'm also low-key terrified of blowing up because, like, what if someone tries to cancel me? Like, I'm not ready for that. Like, every time I see the little red notification on the bell saying that I have a new comment, I take a deep breath and I'm like, please don't be a hate comment. Please don't be a hate comment. Also, you guys are savage. Like, I see y'all defending me in the comments. Like, whenever I get a hate comment, I'm like, you know what? It's fine, because I know somebody is gonna be like, here's where you're wrong. And I really appreciate y'all for that, because I don't like to respond to those comments because it's like, that's what they want. But when you guys do it for me, that's like perfect. And if you share my videos, if you like, if you comment, thank you so much. If you DM me on Instagram, thank you. If you DM me on Instagram, there's like a 99% chance that I'm gonna respond. So, you know, if you ever wanna hit me up, I'll answer. It's not like I have a bunch of subscribers or followers, so we are very close to being monetized, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned for that. I kind of want to make a video about like how I grew on YouTube and how I got my first 1,000 subscribers, or how to start a YouTube channel. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments, because I would love to talk about the YouTube algorithm, because she's a bad. She's mysterious. She's kind of crazy, but she's a bad. Anyway, let's get into the video. Today, I wanted to talk about something that I've been thinking a lot about recently, and I don't know, I just wanted to like talk it out, because that's like the best way for me to sort through my thoughts, and I figured, why not post it on the internet? So yeah, I want to talk about Black privilege. So obviously the concept of Black privilege kind of stems off of the idea of white privilege, and white privilege is basically that white people have an upper hand essentially in society. They have privileges that they have simply for being white. And you know, the reason why the idea of Black privilege is a little conflicting is because, well, Black people are the most oppressed people on this earth. Now, I'm obviously speaking from the perspective of a Black American. I don't know what it's like to be Black in other countries, but I think the first example that would come to someone's mind when they think of Black privilege is affirmative action. So affirmative action is the practice or policy of favoring individuals belonging to groups known to have been discriminated against previously. So affirmative action has actually existed since the 19th century, but it first appeared in its current form in President Kennedy's executive order in 1961. So during the 60s, Black people were given a lot more opportunities in the workforce, and beyond then, like into the 70s and 80s and even 90s, I would assume. My father actually benefited from affirmative action, and is probably the reason why he has the job he has today. But I think we see this the most right now in colleges. Colleges are obsessed with diversifying their campuses and admitting more students of color and LGBTQ plus students, etc. Now, is this a privilege, or is this just attempts at equity or equality? And that's kind of what sparked my thoughts about Black privilege, because I remember when I was in high school and I was applying for colleges, and I was like, oh, I hope being Black will kind of elevate me or make me stand out in some way, because, you know, colleges want more people of color on their campus to look good, basically. I don't even know if they really care about, you know, Black children actually getting an education, or if it's just so, you know, they can squeeze them into the promotional photos on their website. A lot of, you know, white people get upset when they see things like this, because they feel like, you know, it's not fair that they get to have these opportunities that are being taken away from me because of their race, just because they're Black or because they're Asian or Hispanic or whatever. In the eyes of a white person, I can see how they see it that way, because they think that, you know, white people being on top is the norm, and it's how it's always been and how it always should be. So when they see this happening, they don't see it as equaling the playing field. They see it as them going down, them having their privileges taken away from them. So is affirmative action a privilege? I would say no, but to me it feels like a privilege in a way, because like I said, I've had moments where I'm like, oh, thank God I'm black, because that means I stand out. That means maybe, you know, they'll be more inclined to accept me or notice me because they need me. However, this is not foolproof, and it's not always the case. I've definitely had experiences where my white counterparts get more opportunities than I do, not because I worked harder or because they're more skilled than me, but simply because I'm black. And we all know being white in this country, or not even in this country, in this world, being white is the default. Whiteness is something that cultures all over the world strive for. It doesn't matter if you're black, doesn't matter if you're Latina, doesn't matter if you're Asian, like everybody seems to want to be white, you know? And obviously, like, I don't want to be white, and when I say that, it's a blanket term, but I'm saying, like, you know, when you look at how people of color are treated around the world and how that oppression has been internalized by people of color, we have been taught to hate ourselves because we're not white. So naturally, we're going to strive to be white. Eurocentric beauty standards are the pinnacle of beauty, and that's the perfect example of showing how everybody wants to be white. So speaking of affirmative action and being the diversity hire, I want to talk about black people in movies, because I think the way that minorities are represented in film is very narrow. That's no surprise, obviously, but a lot of times in TV shows and movies, when they want to get diversity points, they'll give the protagonist a black friend. It seems like black people are like the end-all be-all when it comes to diversity, when they're not. Just having a white cast with a couple of black people sprinkled in there does not make it diverse. That's only 2 races, when there are many more. But, you know, you don't see a lot of Asian best friends or Latina best friends, or at least not as much. I'd say Asian people are the least represented people in film, and it's just interesting to me how Hollywood just completely brushes over other minorities. It's like, okay, if we have to hire a person of color, then let's just get some light-skinned black girl in here to be the friend. Or she's like fat and dark-skinned and she's like the comedic relief. Also, you know, the 90s was a great time for black movies. Oh my god, there was a black love story coming out every month, and it was great. There's so many amazing black love stories, or just black movies in general, that came out during the 90s, but now you don't really see them as much anymore, and I don't know why. But, you know, at least we have those. Like, at least we have Tyler Perry. We even have BET. Where's AET? You know what I'm saying? I'd say that is the one perk to being black, I guess. But I think it's also that way because black people are basically the most oppressed people in this country. So it's like, you know, sorry we made you slaves. Here's BET. Even though I'm totally over the whole black struggle film thing, there's a lot of them. Of course, there's going to be a lot of black struggle films because there's a lot of source material. A part of the reason why I started my channel was because I knew that as a black woman I had a unique perspective on life, and I also have what some may call controversial opinions, and I felt like, you know what, of all the people to share their controversial opinions about gender, about race, about whatever, I think I'm the one to do it, because I know that I have the range, the experience. I know what oppression feels like, or I have an idea of what oppression feels like. Obviously, a white person could not be having this conversation right now. I mean, they could, but a lot of the times when white people have this conversation about black privilege, it's coming from a very jaded place. You know, I feel like I can bring up these topics and people will actually listen and give me the benefit of the doubt, because they're like, okay, well, she's a black girl, so she probably has an interesting perspective on this that isn't outright offensive and just wrong. You know, I can make critiques about women and still be heard out because I am a woman. I know women. I know what it's like to be a woman, so I can identify the things that, you know, maybe aren't so great about us that maybe we should work on. But it's like not coming from a place of hatred, it's just coming from a place of love, really, because I want us to be better. That being said, go check out my video on toxic femininity. Thank you. I mean, look at my video on It's Okay to Be White. There are people talking about this, but it's not people who look like me, if you know what I mean. Me making a video called It's Okay to Be White has a completely different context than a white person saying it's okay to be white. I can say say things like, you know what, I really don't care that much about cultural appropriation. I think it's a distraction from bigger issues because I'm someone who's affected by cultural appropriation. Now, I'm not going to say that the Black Lives Matter movement is a privilege necessary, but remember during the period of like July, August, when everyone was posting about Black Lives Matter and, you know, it seemed like Black people had some spotlight to share our thoughts and actually be heard this time. If it were any other part of the year, I could talk about, you know, the hardships of being Black in America and people would be like, yeah. And no one would give a f. But during that time, like right when everything was just super heated, I could say what I was thinking and people would actually bother to listen because they felt guilty. Because they felt like, okay, I should probably listen to what she has to say. She probably knows what she's talking about, maybe has some insight on this conversation. And you know, that felt great because for the first time I actually felt heard a little bit. I actually felt like what I had to say wasn't just going out into the void. Like even now, this video probably isn't gonna perform as well as my last video because people are uncomfortable with talking about race if, you know, it doesn't actually affect them. Like I'm sure plenty of Black people watch this video. Hey y'all. But you know, maybe some of my white viewers will not click because, I don't know, it makes them uncomfortable or maybe they just don't care. I mean, how can I expect someone to care if they don't even understand it, you know? I don't expect white people to care. Because, you know, unless something traumatic and crazy happens, like a man being killed on live television, they're not thinking about Black Lives Matter. They're not thinking about Black people at all. Something I love about being Black is a sense of community that I feel. For example, if you go on TikTok and you're a Black girl and there's a lot of Black girls on your For You page, chances are you'll probably see a TikTok that's like, comment if you're a Black girl, I want to support y'all. Like, let's be mutuals, let's band together and support each other. The reason why that is because we have to, you know, we need to support each other because nobody else is. But, you know, at least with being Black, there is a sense of community, a feeling of being like a part of something. I can't imagine white people feel the same way. Obviously, they don't need it, but it's nice to feel like, you know, these people have my back. You know, I am more inclined to support a Black girl on YouTube because I'm a Black girl on YouTube and I know what it's like and I want to support them. So when I was a kid, I used to low-key hate being Black. I knew it was wrong, so I wouldn't admit it. But in my mind, I was like, God, I wish I was white. I think being Black and being connected to this culture is a privilege. Having it being stolen from us is not a privilege. But genuinely, I feel very lucky to be able to be Black and to participate in the culture and be a part of this group of people that literally creates the culture of the world. We create what is cool, and that's really awesome. It sucks that I didn't feel this way when I was a kid, but you know, I realized, you know what? It's actually kind of cool to be Black. To me, Black privilege is more of an individual thing. It's something that I feel. It's pride, essentially. I am grateful to be in this body and to have this skin tone that is not only beautiful, but is connected to a deep and rich history and culture of strength and community, creativity. Like, that is the Black privilege that I'm talking about. It's a privilege to be able to be a part of such an incredible group. Does that make up for the collective oppression that my people have experienced for centuries? No. But I think I owe it to the people who came before me, who gave me my privilege that I have now, to be grateful, to be thankful, to be like, yes, I do have privilege as a Black person in this world because you gave that to me. You died for that. You fought so I could go to a nice school, so I could live in a nice house and make, you know, YouTube videos in my bedroom. Like, my mother didn't have these opportunities. My grandmother didn't have these opportunities. My grandmother's mother didn't have these opportunities. And all of them and all the ancestors that came before them have been working for generations and generations so I could be here. And I'm gonna work hard so future generations can go even further than me. This whole conversation to me is to empower myself and empower any black people who are watching this, because in the media we are victims, and yeah, we are fucking victims, but we're also fighters, and we're also happy and carefree and living. We're not always running from the cops, we're not always dying in the streets. That happens, but that's not the whole picture. I'm not the most oppressed black person, that's for sure. I grew up in the suburbs. I grew up in a place that was very diverse, and I was very lucky to grow up in that environment because I didn't grow up with this oppression mindset. I didn't grow up thinking, oh, I'm black, so I cannot get far in this world. And environment is everything. If I grew up in the hood, my mentality would be completely different probably. I mean, I've definitely faced discouragement and I've faced racism, but not in the ways that some other people have who maybe, you know, grew up in the hood or grew up in the South. To me, being black isn't the thing that comes first. That's not what defines me. I'm a black girl and I'm very proud of that, but that's not all I am. I also grew up with economic privilege, and I think in this world that goes a lot farther than white privilege. Even though most billionaires are white, not every white person is rich, and poor white people are disadvantaged because they're poor. I grew up middle class, and that in itself has put me steps ahead. I'm very lucky to have grown up in the place that I did. I'm very lucky to be growing up in this time. You know, the black experience is not sunshine and rainbows, that's for sure. It's better than it ever has been. I can say that. Not saying that means a lot, but I think it means something. I'm not gonna sit here and act like being black now is the same as being black in the 60s. In a lot of ways it is, but in a lot of ways it isn't. I get to live a normal life. I get to live a similar life to my white friends, even a better life in some ways because of money. Having this discussion for me is very like cathartic. I used to hate being black. It used to be my biggest insecurity. As a child, you're not really insecure about a lot of things because you don't really think about like beauty or comparison because you just don't know to do that. But when I was like 5 years old, I knew what it meant to be black to a certain extent. Being insecure about something that you can't change at such a young age is like low-key like scarring. Like traumatic is a strong word, but I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that feeling of this shame and or disgust because I'm black. That's a really dark thing to feel as a child. And now that I can confidently say that I love being black and I would not want to be born in any other body is fucking astronomical. It's a beautiful thing. I hope this was enjoyable. This was kind of me just rambling, but I hope you got something out of it. And yeah, let me know what you think in the comments.